so glad you're here and welcome to Story Time. As I started last week sharing a bit of the real-time experience of my journey back to what I hope is healing and walking in full range of motion and movement and stability in my foot, which you can't see, but it's wrapped here and propped up on ice. Doctor's order, the foot is supposed to be higher than my heart, but it's not a real attractive angle for coming to you for broadcast. And it's fine. It's getting a lot of prop time. It's getting a lot of ice time. But the story that I want to share today is really in reflection of our exploration this month of transparent alignment and the second strategy of attention, paying attention. The story is that I took a tumble this morning, and a tumble that literally scared the crap out of my family that was home. And that there was a task on my phone that I was completing at the table. Icing, my leg was up and propped, having had my breakfast and my morning tea. Little shift there from my coffee. But I needed to get my credit card information to put it into this online service system through the doctor's office. Okay, so attention, right? My attention is on this task at hand. My attention is on wanting to not be a burden. This is an old story for me, in that the biggest challenge, twofold, is I am not mobile, right? And that in itself is a challenge. But the reason that that is a challenge is that although I have the fanciest tools available to help me be more mobile, I am not freely mobile. But the catch is that means that I am now dependent on others in a way that I'm not all that comfortable with. I'm not all that practiced at asking for help. In hindsight, because of the added risk of going down the stairs to get my wallet, which is by the front door. We have a split entry house, which I had some nostalgia about, apparently from my childhood, which is why Peter and I both fell in love with it when we found the house. But living in it, I hate it. I hate a split entry. You have to always use the stairs. Well, I could have gone down on my butt, right? But I was wearing my brace, and so I flipped around backwards and was walking down, because as this brace works, it holds my thigh, and then my knee and my shin rest on here, right? In which case my calf and my foot is behind me. Well, given the surgery that I've had, it's the toes that are the most precarious to being bumped, being hit, since those are the ones that have been restructured. So to go down backwards means I can't see where I'm going. Well, we all know that in life, stepping backwards is often a lot harder than stepping forward. We even practiced this last week in our yoga therapy practice on Tuesday evening. Was what is it like to step forward to your lunge versus stepping back to your lunge? And the muscles that fire and the way that the brain and the perception of our mind, of our vision works, it shifts just a little bit. Well, I was focused on completing a task. That was where my attention was. So I was accommodating to the extent that I was willing, right, to finish this task. So I went down the stairs, and to the last step, I forgot there was one more. Depth perception as it was, I don't know, but I fell backwards. I fell backwards into the door, and my loose foot, meaning my propped foot, came down hard on the cast. Now, fortunately, there is, you can probably see here, this is a firm casting that really protects the primary digits, the primary places of impact. So it wasn't that I necessarily hit my foot to the floor, but let me tell you about electricity. I know that there's nerve damage. I know that there's healing happening. I can feel the skin itchy. That is that first indication of the skin repairing itself. And I'm on a strong dose of oxycodone, and I'm on a strong dose of pain medicine. But to have that to have my foot hit the floor, that electric shock, a nerve damage went through my whole body. I collapsed onto my bum, which was better than maintaining any alignment on my foot. But it shattered my ego for that moment, and it brought the family running to the point where my young adult child says to me, "Wake me up, ask for help. Please don't put yourself in that kind of risk again." And she said, "If you can't do it for yourself, do it for me, because that scared the shit out of me." She was with tears, right? She's got tears coming down her face. "I'm fine." I haven't honestly looked at my foot, but it didn't feel like there was any actual damage to my foot, except for that sensation of electric pain when my foot touched down. And it was probably less than, I don't know, 1/100th of a second that my foot was actually in contact with the floor. But how this all comes back into transparent alignment, and why I wanted to share this journey with you, is that my intention hasn't wavered, right? My intention of healing, of wellness, of honoring my practice of living in my body as it is, that is a strong intention. But like everything in life, where our attention goes, right, that will grow and expand. So in other words, I was focusing on this and simply shifting my attention away from the crisis at hand based on the reality, the experience I have of being successful at walking around my house. I did the accommodation, but I didn't strap in. Now, Peter asked me, "Do you think that contributed?" I don't think it did. Meaning I didn't use the straps, I was just holding on. I don't know. I don't know if that would have helped me recover because the leg would have been underneath me. I have no idea. The truth is, I need to strap in more often. So that's one takeaway. And the second takeaway is exactly what my child said, is that ask for help. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. It is as honorable to receive as it is to give. And yet, because I'm not practiced, because I don't have a lot of attention in asking for help in my regular day-to-day, this is an edge that is not only unfamiliar, it's uncomfortable, but it's not out of my alignment. And so perhaps this is the lesson here, is that honoring that asking for help is not only important for me, it's important for those who love me, those who would really end up suffering even greater consequences if I did more damage in this process of healing. Now, the other side of attention that I wanted to bring up is how so much of our modern living is focused on strong, immediate sensation. And that's exactly what my foot gave me. Strong, immediate sensation. I could not deny, I couldn't pretend through that strong, immediate sensation. My body compensated by collapsing to take the weight off of my foot. But the real practice that yoga invites us into is a deeper knowing in the subtleties. I had literally just taken my dose of pain reliever, and it hadn't yet fully kicked in. So with that information, if I had been mindful of this transformation, this intention, rather than this intention, I hope that I would have made a more safe decision. In other words, not every moment of every day is about tickling the edge of intense experience. In fact, when we tickle the edge of intense experience, it's either in crisis, which is what happened when I fell, or by design, by ritual design of peeling back the layers in a calm, abiding space. You see that difference? That's when we allow ourselves to tickle the edge of deeper sensation. But 99.9% of the time, we're living somewhere between that continuum of crisis and intention, both ends of that continuum bringing us into strong sensation. In the middle is that place of deepening our relationship with the subtlety, the quiet, the almost unavailable sensations of living in stillness, or as stillness and quiet and peace and ease that we can connect with. I find it a lot in asana practice, particularly even peak poses or strong yin sensations, in the sense that I'm not feeling enough, right? That's what I hear from students. And what does that really mean? It often translates into the sense that this is not strong enough and I can handle more. But think about that in terms of our wellness. Think about that in terms of what are we attached to, perhaps even addicted to. More sensation is not always the best route to healing, recovering, and repairing, nor is it the best route to growing stronger. Incremental increases based on what our tolerance is to breathe in. In other words, I stopped breathing for that moment that my foot touched down, and for a moment, even after my bum landed on the floor. There was a literal pregnant pause of not breathing, as if to stop time itself. Once my mind and my body had landed, once my mind had assessed the immediacy of the situation, I could breathe again and choose to breathe. A few tears coming down in fear and some pain as I regained my awareness, regained an alignment of where my body was, and remembered my intention. So, what does this mean? It means that when it comes to our energy, when it comes to our attention, perhaps it's not always about pursuing the strongest sensation, because in that strong sensation, we might lose our ability to access the witness, the broader perspective, because of the immediacy, the urgency, the depth of that intention. Likewise, that's not the place of transformation and growth. That's the place of injury and risk beyond what is within a anti-fragility intention, meaning we tickle the edge and we come back. In other words, did I do permanent damage today in this shock fall? No, I'm absolutely certain, no. But am I going to use it as an opportunity to remind myself of what I already know, what I already practice most of the time? Is that the circumstances are as important. This is tapas. This is the wise application of what we know. Even though there was a conflict in the moment between the attention given to my phone and that interrupt or that interim intention of completing a task, with the bigger picture, the interim on a larger scale, this season of my life is about healing this foot. So all of us have layered intentions, but it's a matter of keeping our attention supple enough so that we can hold them simultaneously, even as we shift our attention from task to task, so that the action, which we'll talk about next story time, the action is an honoring of both the intention and the attention. And in this case, my action could have been a number of things. My action could have said, not now, maybe later, to the task at hand. It could have been asking for help. It could have been strapping into my apparatus. It could have been climbing the stairs on my butt. So many other options, but none of them as autonomous and as empowering feeling as just doing it my damn self. In other words, I got some ego to work through here that I didn't even know was there, in terms of me wanting to be independent and autonomous, even in a less than whole space, right? Oh, I tell you, the doctor says minimally this is a 3-month journey, but mentally prepare for a 12-month journey. And it's not unlike some of the other big journeys that I've had in my life: pregnancy to delivery, parenthood as a whole, writing and completing my doctoral dissertation, right? These are big projects. This is not any different than that. And with the help of resources, my doctors, my family, my apparatus tools, the medication even, I have a support structure, but it's up to me to choose how I use those resources, how I apply my energy and attention in order to honor the objective at hand. Right now, the toes are tingling. And that's less sensation, but more sensation than normal, less sensation than the injury. When I fell, it was like I put my foot into a fireplace. The whole leg was literally on fire. It lasted not long. But that kind of extreme, I want to avoid as much as possible, because that kind of extreme triggers our nervous system into the sympathetic, the defend and the protect, right? And I know that the parasympathetic, the healing, the restoring, the recovering is necessary for not only the healing of my foot, but the healing of the wound of my ego needing to prove itself, needing to be separate. And remember our connection. Thanks so much for letting me share this story. If you have takeaways, insights, or applications, I always love to hear how these stories are showing up in your learning, how they're impacting your living. But until we meet together in real time, or we have a chance to connect again, be well. Look for not just these strong sensations that demand your attention, but in those calm, abiding spaces, seek out those more intimate, more tender, more supple sensations, and grow in your intimacy as you cultivate a deeper attention to what matters most. Be well, and namaste.